Look, the first point I want to make tonight is process allows you to forecast. Process allows you to forecast. I often mention the name Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. I don't want to confuse that with Jim Rome, the sportscaster, the guy they called Jim Everett, Chris Everett a few times and they got a little scuffle. Not that guy. Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is actually the late Jim Rohn. He's passed away. And the guy was absolutely just understood relationship selling better than anybody, really believed and was empathetic in the reality of taking care of the other person and valuing what they had to say. He says there's a law of averages. If you do something long enough, he says, you could have 100 clients, you could have 1,000 clients, and you could have a higher close rate, but he will always beat you because he'll just talk to more people. I loved it. He would say, you could close 9 out of 10 and I could close 1 out of 10, but I'll just ask 100 people. And I just love that because the reality is that when you think about that mindset, it just kind of goes to show you that there's a law of averages. When we have a law of averages, we can forecast. And so he now knows because his law of averages is maybe behind someone else's, he can just ask more people, but he knows how many more people he needs to ask to get to the same result. You see, most of us don't even know where we're going. Why? Because we can't forecast it. We can't understand. We don't have a process in place to get the result that we have in order for us to then go back and work backwards and say, okay, how do I get that result again? Business is like a vending machine. You put $1 in, it spits $5 out. Your job is to get it to spit more dollars out than for every dollar you put in there. How can I fine tune this and get $6? How can I fine tune this and get $7? You don't sacrifice the customer's soul or your soul in the process, meaning you don't go out there and take advantage of people, but that's the job. In sales, that's the job. It's called return on investment. It's what everybody has to weigh when they decide to make a purchase. Process will allow you to forecast what that's going to be because you have the same people with the same gifts, whether they're good or bad. It's the same ones following the same process, getting a similar result time in and time out, and you can count on that. You can work on that. You can improve that, but you at least know where you're going. These are the things that people just absolutely miss. They kind of skip over it. They go out, they have some success. A lot of times it's somebody was really good at something that they do and then they start a business and then they get that business going and then all of a sudden they've got revenue, they've got guys, and they don't understand why every single week it's like, am I going to make payroll? Right? Like your phone's ringing, you got a business, people think you're great, your employees think you're great, you think you're great, right? These are all truths. Who's willing to admit that they've been there before? Because I know I've seen a lot of you be there before. You're not there anymore, but you've been there before. And why does it happen? Well, because we didn't know that processes were that important. And the reality is that when you look at what the definition of a process is, it's really just the things that took place in order to get a result. Like if you just want to make it so simple that it's just layman's terms, right? It's the things that took place. It's the steps that took place. It's the order of events that took place in order for a specific result to happen. And you go back and you document it and then you learn from it and you grow from it. Here's a little equation for you. Process plus average gives you something to count on. You understand that process, the process that you have in place, the same thing that everyone's following that gets a certain result. And then the average of the individual that's running that process, because they're going to have an average because they're running the process, it's going to give you something you can count on. Look, processes allow you to forecast, but you know what else they allow you to do? They allow you to scale. Look, processes allow you to scale. We could talk about this from a business standpoint. We could talk about this from a personal growth standpoint. Like if you want to get better as an individual, you got to have processes. I've got certain processes in my life, and in those areas, I excel. And I've got other areas in my life where I don't have processes, and in those areas, I don't excel. Okay, my diet regimen doesn't have a process. My diet regimen does not have a process. It should, but it doesn't. And so it shows up, like it literally shows up. But when you talk about my business, well, we've got some processes in place. We got some processes in place, and we've got them in place for a very specific reason. In fact, we're in a position now to where we're helping other companies. And so not only do we have to have our ducks in a row, but we're trying to help other people get their ducks in a row. So we've got to have some processes, right? We've not only got to be able to try to put processes in place for our business, but we've got to know all the processes for your business. And so trust me, processes are near and dear to my heart. They're absolutely important. So processes matter. They allow you to scale. See, it's easier to train through a process and others coming alongside than it is to try to get everyone to do it your way. I'll say that one more time. And I had to write it down for myself. But it's easier to train through a process and get others to come alongside than it is to try to get everyone to do it your way. What I mean by that is when you have 10 or 15 employees and you're trying to go around and get everyone to do it the way that you want them to do it, because you don't actually have a process, you're just constantly making decisions in the moment. Your phone never stops ringing. Everyone's calling you every 5 seconds. I mean, it's just nonstop. It's because you don't have a process. And when you don't have a process in place, you're never going to be free. You're never going to be able to scale. You're going to have a hard time not only training, but keeping people trained. And it's so much easier when you have 3 or 4 other people who are completely trained and like-minded, singing the same song, singing the same messaging, training basically the same way, maybe through just simply example. Maybe they're not all trainers. They're just exampling the right way. It then creates culture that then gets others, and it makes it easier for others to buy in. You go into a room with a bunch of schoolmates that are new, and the teacher tells the joke, and no one wants to be the first person that laughs. No one wants to be the uncool person. It's human nature. And so that's what culture is. And so everybody, doesn't like their boss, hates it there. No one wants to be that guy that loves their job. It makes it impossible to love your job in a culture where everyone else hates it. That's what culture is. And we have to find a way to develop that culture. Processes allow us to do that. It allows us to put everybody on the same track, like-minded, going the same way, in the same direction, with the same set of tools, then allowing everybody else to model that. It's naturally going to develop averages. You're going to have some leaders and you're going to have some followers. You're going to have some, bottom feeders and some middle grounders. Everyone's got their role, and then other people are going to step into that environment, and it's going to make it easier to reciprocate. It's just going to be human nature. Now, processes allow you to forecast. Process allows you to scale. Those are both true. Before we go any further, I just want to simply say, if you're one of those people, I see some people on here saying, hey, look, I need processes in my life. You can get them. You can reach out to us. We have an ebook that's free. We have a bunch of tools that are free on our website, free training, all kinds of cool stuff. Go to theplumbingsalescoach.com. All right, so here's the third point. First point, processes allow you to forecast. Second point, processes allow you to scale. So many people say, please help me scale. The last one is processes allow you to sail. Straight up. I mean, you should always be building your business in a way that allows you to sell. Now, I said processes allow you to forecast, meaning your employees are doing it the same way each and every time. You can develop an average. In fact, you can use your better employees that are getting better results out of the process, maybe running the process a little bit better. They can train the younger guys or the guys that maybe aren't doing it as well and help them get a little bit further along. And that process and doing it the same way helps everybody facilitate that. We talked about that. We talked about being able to scale, this idea that you need to free yourself up, get your life back, stop being tied in the weeds to the business, stop running the business around you, stop bottlenecking your business. And we talked about that. Now we're talking about selling, because here's the deal. When you go to sell your business, nobody wants a job. Nobody wants to buy a job. And without processes, that's what you're selling them. And if they aren't as good as you, or they don't think they're as good as you, and you already don't think they're as good as you, how could they possibly buy that? How could they value that? How could they know what it's worth? It's worth that with you at the helm. But when you sell a process, when you sell a business that has what made McDonald's so magical was that speedy process. They could get the burger to the window in 15 seconds. No one else could do it. Processes aren't just for business owners. They're for salespeople. They're for individuals. I've even seen pitchers in the major leagues have a process. Everybody has a process. Anybody that is a master at something has a process. Anybody that does something well and refines their craft, their skill, their business, their result has a process. You want better results? Refine your process. If you want measurable results, have a process. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube to our channel. Make sure that you like us over on Facebook and follow our Facebook page. But guys, listen, this program works. It's here to help. We're here to help. We want to help in any way we can. If you can't afford to get in the paid program, that's cool. Listen to the podcast, watch the show, get the free ebook, get the free trainings. Do everything you can to soak up as much as you can. Remember, guys, as always, serve your community in everything, not just plumbing. Have a great night.
Fresh.
Thanks for watching The Fresh Experience. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to check out our podcast, The Fresh Approach, on Google, Apple, and your favorite podcast channel.
Fresh. Fresh.